Welcome back to the Beauty Lab podcast. I'm your host, Velia, and this is my co-host, Monina. And today, I brought all of my makeup with me from home that I do on a day-to-day basis, and Monina's gonna watch me do it because she is the makeup expert, and she's gonna tell me all the things that I'm doing wrong or not optimal.
Okay, but I can also praise you for all the good things, right?
We like to keep it positive around here.
All right.
So,
all right.
So yeah,
okay.
that too.
Be nice.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to
Ready?
just take off my glasses.
Okay. And then I have a mirror for you whenever you need it.
And, you know, if you wear glasses, you feel my pain of having these two little red dots on the sides of your nose all the time. But that's where we are. I'm going to roll up my sleeves.
She's rolling her sleeves up.
Getting dirty.
How much she loves you guys.
No makeup. Welcome to the Beauty Lab podcast, your drive time resource for all things beauty, health, and wellness. We're your hosts and favorite beauty nerds, Monina and Velia.
Join us as we debunk myths, explore the latest trends, and dive deep into the science behind your favorite products. We'll interview industry experts and answer your burning beauty questions in 30 minutes or less.
Okay, so the first thing I start with, and I know you're going to be very proud of me, is sunscreen. Well, okay, so just so you guys know, I have all my skincare already done. So like my toner, serums, moisturizer, that's been done. And I usually do sunscreen in that part of the morning routine, but I didn't. So.
And I haven't tried this one yet. I do have it. So how do you like it?
I like this one. So this is the Moisture Layer Sunscreen from Rimmon, and it's broad spectrum and it's SPF 50 plus.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna just put like a little dot on my fingy.
Perfect.
And I just put it all over. This is pretty much how I apply all the makeup.
Yep. Yep.
I know this isn't makeup yet, but. And it smells good. It smells like sunscreen. But one thing I like about this, well, a couple things I like about this, is it actually has like a little bit of an illuminating.
I see that.
Right?
Yeah,
sort
your
of
skin
effect.
looks really, illuminated.
Yeah, and
Look oily, just like.
yeah, it doesn't look oily, it doesn't feel oily, but it also doesn't look ashy and it doesn't give that like white cast.
Right. No white cast at all.
Yeah.
And the active ingredient is avobenzone. So for those of you who don't know, it's either zinc or avobenzone. And some people actually are allergic to one or the other. So if you're having issues with sunscreen, see which one it is.
Okay. So step 2 is if I'm going to use a primer, which I get really lazy, I'm not going to lie.
Well, we feel your pain.
I have liked the Milk Hydro Grip Primer.
Is this part of our dupe?
No, none of this is Trader Joe's stuff.
Okay. We did do a dupes episode. Okay.
So this is the Milk Primer. I'm just going to do half my face because I'm not always convinced that it even helps. So I'm going to do the left side of my face with primer. And what I like about this primer is it doesn't feel silicone-y. So for those of you who get oily, this is a nice one. And it does have it's called the Grip Primer because that's a very dramatic name for it.
Yeah, but
and it doesn't feel sticky.
Okay. So if you don't use primer, don't know the purpose of a primer, and she's doing it on half the face, which I really like because then we could see if it really does make a difference. But what a primer does is a couple of things. Number one, it helps fill in all the little divots of, if you've got some scarring or you've got large pores, it kind of fills in those little gaps so that when you apply the foundation, it looks a lot smoother. So her doing it on just one side or the other, we'll be able to see if the finish actually looks different.
What do you think?
So
can you tell any difference from where you are?
Well, it's a little bit more matte now.
Okay.
Yeah, because remember she put the sunscreen on, her skin looked illuminating. Now this side with the primer looks a little more matte finish.
Okay.
Okay,
so I don't wear a lot of foundation. What I like to use is like a BB cream or a CC cream, and this is the BB cream from Rimmon. And so everything's very skincare oriented. Ooh, jinx. And because the BB cream, it only comes in one color, because it's not really supposed to give you a lot of color.
It's not supposed to be foundation.
Right. It just kind of evens you out a little bit and also gives like a little bit of an illuminating finish. I also like to mix it with the It Cosmetics CC Plus Nude Glow. And I'm using the color light because I haven't gotten a tan at all.
So that's the color that matches your skin the most.
Yeah. So I would use this by itself if I wanted like slightly more coverage.
Okay.
And this is, I just rub it.
Yeah. So she's combining they're both considered CC cream, so they're more like tinted.
I don't know what the difference between a CC and a BB is. Do you know?
All I know is a BB usually has different ingredients in it. Like the BB cream I have has the licorice root for dark pigmentation, but it also has hydrating ingredients. So that's usually what a BB does.
And because I'm super low maintenance and just trying to get out of the house most of the time, I apply it with my fingers. So for those of you who are just listening and not watching, I am like a child applying foundation-ish type products. Okay, you know what? I got to stop what I'm saying right now and just point out that the side with the primer is pilling.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's because I have...
You may just, sometimes your skin is just saturated.
Yeah.
And you may have already put too much other skincare already, but that's been a while ago.
Yeah, my skincare has been on for a couple hours at least, more than a couple. But maybe because it's not playing well with the sunscreen. I don't know.
Good point.
And we all know that sunscreen's way more important.
Yeah. But you don't use it every day. You don't use primer every day, right?
No, I don't. So I actually had no idea that it would pill.
Maybe it's the formulation. Maybe because this is more of a grip, it may have something in there that's not doing well with the sunscreen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good to know. It's good to try things out.
So I'm just kind of going through and blending down onto my neck, even though it's not a lot of color, it's still, I don't want any accidental lines. I'm kind of also wiping off any product that's pilling. Okay, so that is my normal everyday, like going to work or just going to the store. I mean, I'll be totally honest, I don't usually wear makeup at all when I don't work.
Right.
But if I'm going somewhere and I'm like, okay, listen, if you run into someone you know, don't put yourself in a position to be embarrassed. So for the days that I want to wear more, then I use the custom blended foundation that you made for me, which is amazing. And I do have, I don't have it here, but I do have a beauty blender that I tap it in there, press it down, and then I just tap it
in
on my,
Now, did you layer that on top of your?
No, I would do either or.
Either or, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this with or on top of the BB cream and CC cream.
Right.
But there are times where like, maybe I don't want to do my whole face with more, but I just have like a couple spots that are like I have like one little sunspot that bothers me. So sometimes I'll just kind of
more coverage.
I'll just put it, I can't even see it actually.
Yeah. Oh, so this is more, these two are more of a light application of foundation, whereas this is going to give you a little bit more coverage.
Yeah.
So you can spot treat.
So I'm just kind of spot treating. And if I had my beauty blender and not my finger, it would be better.
It's a sponge compact.
Yeah.
That's why you would want a beauty blender. Got it.
It's a cushion.
Cushion.
Yeah, it's a cushion compact. Okay, so then there's that. And then what I'll do, depending on the day, if I'm going to be using a powdered blush and a powdered highlighter, I'll go through at this stage and I'll use my Sephora translucent powder. But I'm not going to do that today, so I'm going to do the translucent later. Okay. So now I'm going to, because I really most of the time do cream or liquid everything.
Right.
So my favorite cream concealer is the Tarte Sculpt Tape Contour, and it's in the color Soft Bronze.
Okay.
And I'm sure you guys have seen this all over TikTok because that is...
Yeah, I haven't used those. I just used the normal wand.
Oh, okay.
I tried this one.
And then when I'm more tan and I want more of a contour, I'll use the Rare Beauty stick.
A little bit darker.
That's a little darker, and I can't even read what shade that is.
This is
Thank you.
Happy Soul.
Oh, okay.
So that's the Rare Beauty. So she's just putting on...
Yeah, so I'm doing 3 dots of the contour. The Sculpt Tape is what it's called.
Yeah.
I know there's a product called
Shape Tape. Yeah.
And again, like a child, I'm tapping with my fingers to blend it in. But I do own brushes, so I'll do the other side with a brush. So this is my Rare Beauty. I don't know if there's this is the angled, the angled like foundation brush.
Yeah. And it's synthetic. So if you've seen past episodes, anytime you use something creamy or wet, you want to use a synthetic brush. Now, I want to back up to something she said that she does correctly. She was going to go ahead and set everything with her translucent, but because she's still applying more creams, like her blush, her contour, which is what she's doing right now, it's all still wet. So to put the powder on before all that would make no sense. So,
Right.
You know, so
It might backfire, actually. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I do. And then if there's any excess contour on my brush or on my finger, I'll just kind of do like my hairline around like the top of my hairline, and then kind of bring it down a little bit towards the
temples.
Yeah, towards the temples. And I don't know. I don't think it makes too big of a difference for me, but like sometimes I like to do just like
side of the nose.
Side of the nose.
Perfect.
That's it. That's all the contouring
Perfect.
that I do. And sometimes I completely skip that step. And then my blushes. So I love Rare Beauty's blushes. They're cream blushes or liquid. I think they call it their cream blushes. I don't think they call it liquid, but it's all the same thing. I love their colors. I love the consistency. I love how concentrated they are.
Yeah.
So this color is the one that I kind of use all the time. I have 3 more here that
one looks cooler. The 3 that she has here look more on the warm tones.
And you would think that like because I have a lot of warmth that I would be okay with these, but I think I have to be really tan in order to, like, my skin gets like 4 shades darker when I'm tan. And I'm trying really, really hard to be super good about sunscreen. So I'm trying to kind of change the person that I've always been and just embrace not being super duper tan.
Right.
On
No,
my
I
face,
get it.
you know?
I get it. Yeah.
Okay, I can't read that.
Sure. This is the Rare Beauty called Encourage.
Encourage. Okay.
Kind of a more on the plummy, mauve-y side.
And I've had this for probably longer than its shelf life. Like I think I've had this for like 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm nowhere near anywhere close.
Empty. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and
it's so concentrated.
It's so concentrated that I'll do 1 dot
on the
back of my hand.
Yeah.
And then from that 1 dot on the back of my hand, I'll like spread it around a little bit, and I'll just dot it. I'll just tap it. And yeah, I'm still using my finger. Still using my finger, but if I feel fancy, I'll pick up the same brush, that angled foundation brush that I used for my contour, and I will blend it in. But I am not going to run out with that 1 dot on the back of my hand.
I love how you're explaining how a lot of the creams, especially the cream blushes, are so concentrated.
They are.
So as you can see, if you're not watching us on YouTube and you're just listening in, she literally put 1 little drop on the back of her hand, and she used that to blend into her cheek area.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I do.
Yeah. So as you can see, between the sculpting concealer and then the blush, it's giving her dimension and warmth and color to her skin, which is what we want all this to do. Perfect.
You mean the sculpting contour?
Yeah, the sculpting contour Sometimes you can use concealer. That's why I was saying that. But you can use like a darker concealer, but it's basically to contour. Exactly.
Okay. So now that I'm done with all those things, I have a decision to make. Am I going to highlight or not highlight today? And I'm going to tell you that 9.9 days out of 10,
Yes.
I will say, yeah.
Why not?
And I love the Hourglass highlighter in the shade Ambient. Love
very,
it.
very iridescent. A lot of the Hourglass highlights have that really pretty luminescent, iridescent look to it.
So I just basically, I didn't really swirl. I just kind of tapped it in.
Yeah.
And there's not really enough excess because I'm using a big fluffy brush. I'm not using my fingers for this one. But I have noticed that this particular highlighter versus other highlighters in powder form, this one also blurs. So sometimes it's just like strobe light levels of shimmer.
Right.
And that's cool, but that's not really what I'm looking for day to day.
Right.
But this one, I noticed like in these little areas where you start getting kind of like finer lines, it really blurs those lines, and it doesn't like act like a concealer or anything like that, but it kind of it softens it, right?
It softens it. So you're right. It depends on the highlight because some highlights can just really accentuate too much.
Yes.
Whereas this does have, it gives that luminous finish, but it's blurring too. It's not like accentuating your fine lines or if you've got discoloration there and stuff like that. It just highlights it.
So for those of you who are listening who use liquid highlighter, I have several liquid highlighters, and none of them that I've ever used have blurred the same way that this one does. So I know it's kind of counterintuitive because I consider my skin to be more mature skin. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, I guess.
You have skin.
I have skin.
Skin that's breathing.
Right. And you would think that powder on more mature skin would kind of cake, but this one doesn't. And it actually, like Monina said, it doesn't settle into the fine lines and like the other even cream.
Yeah.
So intuition says use cream when you have more mature skin so it doesn't settle into any fine lines, but it doesn't work that way for some reason with the Hourglass. But with other powder highlighters, I have felt like it does do that.
It accentuates too much. Yeah.
So,
but also the application that you did well. So she used a really big fluffy brush. And in the past, I've said the bigger and fluffier the brush, the less it's picking up. And so the less it's depositing. So if you don't want a ton of highlight on the skin, using the big fluffy brushes was number one, the best thing to do. And she didn't go in there and swirl it and like saturate the brush. She literally just dipped in there and only dipped it once, and then she used it for both sides. So, and one thing, if you're only dipping once, one tip I would say is dab both sides and then blend. Otherwise, if you dab and blend, you're putting most of it on the first cheek and not the other. So
okay,
but,
yeah.
Okay.
So on a day where I'm maybe doing like a nighttime look or something, I will go heavier with obviously everything. And then Tarte, and I've mentioned this product in the past, but Tarte makes this compact, this palette, and Glow Wardrobe.
Called Glow Wardrobe by Tarte.
So Tarte, not your best work with naming that, but
I like the colors.
But the colors are pretty.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to be able to just take your brush and swirl it around the whole shebang and tap, 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 and then apply. I have found that when I do that, it's too much pigment. So what I tend to do is just kind of like baby tap in each pot, because there's 4
colors.
Yeah. I don't know, what do you call them? 4
palettes.
4 slices of pie.
Yeah.
And
4 triangles.
Yeah, 4 triangles.
Different colors.
And then I tap it a lot, and then I just barely. I mean, if you're watching someone on TikTok using this palette, they're going to swirl the crap out of it, and then they're going to like really get in there.
Yeah.
That's not what I do. But
I mean, if that's, you're going out and it's like.
Yeah.
you're going to be in dark lights, I guess you can go for it.
Yeah.
But for like every day. And remember, she did do the hourglass already. This is just, let's say, end of the day, she's going to go out and she needs a little bit more. Then you would go ahead and apply it over that. She wouldn't necessarily do both of those.
No.
Like in the beginning of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're on to eyes. And I don't do a lot of eye makeup. I just have gotten really lazy. I used to do a lot of eyeshadow, like all of the eyeshadow looks, the really cut crease, like the whole thing.
Yep.
But I am like, no. Now I spend my time with like a million serums instead of cut crease eyeshadow.
And what I wanted to point out is the reason you were saying that, and it totally makes sense, is because when we think about skincare and makeup, we're thinking about the final transformation.
Yep.
Right? So when we were younger, the final transformation was, ooh, on my eyes to look whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now as we're getting, more mature, we want our skin to look flawless and hydrated. That's the transformation we want, not necessarily all the eye makeup anymore. So
exactly.
Good point.
Okay, so for eyes. So I use the Grande Lash serum, the eyelash growth serum. So normally I apply this at night, but if I didn't remember to apply it at night, then I'm not going to also purposely not put it on the following day. But if you're like me and so normally I don't wear eyeliner. I just don't. I just chose not to.
Day to day, something
no,
you do.
I'm just low maintenance like that. So if I'm not going to wear eyeliner, I'll put the Grande Lash serum on. And so I'm not going to put eyeliner on today. So I am going to put this on.
Yeah, for those of you who've never used this, it has a little wand at the end of it, just like an eyeliner. So she's literally applying it like eyeliner on the top and bottom lashes. So if you're like us and you're losing your lashes, Grande is the one she uses, and I use something called Babe Lash, and they both seem to do very well.
So I tried the Grande, for people who might want a recommendation, I tried the Grande Lash Sensitive formula. It's exactly this, but it's the sensitive formula because my eyes tend to be sensitive. I'm blow drying people's hair all day. I'm around chemicals a lot. So lights, air, chemicals are constantly in my eyeballs. And so sometimes these lash growth serums can actually kind of irritate your eyes a little bit. Like some people say that they get like a little bit of redness around their eye, not in their eyeball, but like around their eye line, exactly, their skin. And I have experienced that in the past, which is why I chose to get the sensitive. Use the sensitive one for about more like 8 weeks. I didn't notice any difference.
Oh.
And normally I notice within like 1 week that there's growth. So I got the regular formula about a week ago, and I'm already noticing. So I don't know what the difference is, but if you're someone who has sensitive eyes, and this one, by the way, doesn't burn my eyes either. So I would recommend this one over the sensitive.
For more of the transformation.
For more of the growth. You get more of the benefit. I mean, you're not going to, it's like one extra thing to use, and it's not like it's super cheap either.
But you could do it at night if it's really irritating you,
yes,
right?
I would definitely recommend if you're someone with sensitive eyes, use it at night. Because you don't have to wear it 24 hours a day.
Right. They get it on there.
You just want to get it on there once a day. And then I have the Grande mascara. So it's the same company, and they have peptides and different kinds of
to help your lashes grow.
Yeah, to help your lashes grow and to keep them really conditioned.
And healthy. Yeah.
So again, I don't know. I'm going to assume that if you're using this mascara, then using a primer before you use this mascara is kind of, you're kind of canceling out the benefit because it's not really coating the lashes.
Because you want the peptides on the lashes, not the primer.
Exactly. So
good point.
So for day to day, which again, my personal focus is always on health, shine, you know, that kind of stuff. And if your lashes are growing longer, you don't need a lot of mascara to help the length. I will just use the Grande mascara. But on days where I'm more focused on bolder eye looks, I will use the Tarte Opening Act Lash Primer. And then I will use my Sephora mascara.
Makes
Lower
sense.
maintenance days, I'm focusing on the health and eyelash growth. And on days where I'm like, no, I want a more bold look, I'm using a primer and a mascara made for that bolder look.
Yeah, I like how you're pointing it out because it depends on what the final finish is that you want.
Yeah.
And it may be different from day to day. But then we all have our, I call it our signature look. And that's kind of like your everyday look, right?
My signature look is very minimal, very minimal makeup.
But it's nice. And then it's you, you know, when you think of what you look like on a day-to-day basis, that's it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, healthy, glowy skin.
So I do have 2 eyeliners here that I'm not going to put on because I just put on the serum. But I have my waterproof Sephora 18-hour dark brown eyeliner, which I really, really like.
The pencil or the liquid?
It's a pencil.
Okay.
And it's like the retractable pencil.
Yeah.
It's not like a sharpening pencil, just for convenience.
Yes.
Because no one ever has a sharpener when they need one. And then I have a NYX Kohl Vivid Rich, like more metallic-y kind of finish, taupey color that sometimes I use just for like underneath and just, I kind of never, I don't want to say never use them together because I do, but this will give you a way more natural look. You're not going to look like you really have eyeliner on. It's just going to kind of look like a shadow, which I kind of like.
The taupe.
Yeah, those are the 2 that I normally gravitate towards. Yeah.
Yeah, just nice.
And I don't do anything to my brows because I have my brows done. I have them microbladed.
So great.
And thank you. And I recently had had permanent makeup done on my lips. So for at least right now, I'm enjoying just the lip color that I paid for.
Yeah, it looks great. Like you don't have anything on.
I have nothing. I have a little bit of like a vitamin E chapstick from Osmosis.
Yeah.
But no color at all.
And it's beautiful if you're not on YouTube. It's just enough color to kind of warm up her lips.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I naturally have like no color in my lips. So that's why I got the permanent makeup done. And there's one more thing I didn't mention, and this is my Fenty Beauty concealer, which I rarely use.
I was going to ask if you ever do concealer.
I will if I have like spots that I have to cover. This one's a little peachy, and I will use a little bit on my under eyes because I have high cheekbones, and sometimes it makes your eyes, it can make your eyes look deep set. And
well, I like that you have peach because the peach is basically an orange, and orange cancels out blue, which is kind of like you've got a little bit of bluish under your eyes.
Yeah.
So that's why it would cancel that out.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, but then I put glasses on and it's all covered up. So, just kidding.
Yes. So when she puts her glasses on, anywhere that the concealer would have affected, it's covered by her glasses. So it's a good point. If you don't really need it, why even put it on? But of course, if we're doing like a photo shoot and you're going to take your glasses off, then that's when you would want to take that extra step, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, okay, wait. So I forgot. So now at this point,
everything she's put on has been wet or liquid or cream.
Exactly. And I never went back and did my translucent powder. So I would still do it at this point. And when I do it, I don't cake it on. I did in my 20s, but I just kind of swirl it around. I tap off the excess, and I'm basically just kind of swiping it gently in the places where I want a little bit less shine.
Plus, it's also going to allow the makeup from just transferring because anything wet, as the heat from your body emulsifies the product, it can melt off and come off. So you always, it looks good. So she put the powder where she needs it. She didn't necessarily put it all over. Again, everybody has their preference, right? Because I have oilier skin, I put it all over. But you don't necessarily have oily skin, so you don't need to do that. And it looks great. She looks like her.
I do. I look like my lazy everyday. I mean, it's a lot of steps, but it doesn't take me very long.
Right. It's like you do it all the time. You probably can do this in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I bet I could do it in less.
Yeah, because you don't do your brows. You don't have to put your eyeliner on.
Or lipstick anymore.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it looks great. You did a good job.
Thanks.
I love it.
Thanks.
Oh, also, I noticed you do have, is this?
Oh, yeah. So for the days where, you know, you want a little bit more blush color, I have loved the NARS Lovejoy is the blush color that I use, and I've used it a lot because it's broken. And same thing with that. I will just kind of tap my brush on there, my big fluffy brush, and sometimes I'll go over the cream blush just to kind of set it.
Yeah.
If I want it to last, you know,
Definitely.
all day. And same thing with contour. So I have a NARS powder contour in the color Laguna. And that same exact thing. I'll take the powder and I'll kind of set my other contour with this powder contour.
Yeah. So cheek colors that are in creams, you can set it with the powder cheek color, and then same with your concealers and your contours. If you start with something wet, you can then set it with the equivalent color in the powder, and then you're all set. Yeah, looks great. Good job.
Thanks.
Now, I mean, most of the time, of course, when I'm applying makeup, I don't use my fingers, but if you're doing your own face,
right,
fingers are fine. Just make sure you wash your hands.
Yeah.
And you don't have a bunch of grime and oil on your fingertips, of course. And then use your brush when appropriate, like the powders, the contouring, things like that. That was all great. And then make sure that you're washing your brushes. If it's all cakey, you definitely want to do deep cleaning. But in between, if you don't use your brushes that often, you could what I call spot cleaning with like a Cinema Secrets, like a spritzer bottle. You just kind of spritz it on there and take a paper towel and remove the makeup from there. And that way the next day, you've got nice clean brushes again. So yeah, you did great.
Thanks.
There's nothing I would have changed. It's really good. Now, you did mention about the primer though.
Yeah.
So how's it feeling now?
It feels okay. Doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it's still pilling. How does it look?
No, it looks good. It's a nice finish. I mean,
Does it look any different?
not really.
Yeah.
I don't really notice a difference between one side or the other.
I'll do the smear test because I do that sometimes during the day, you know.
Just to see where you're at.
I don't know. I feel like it's the same.
It looks the same to me. I mean, the only difference was it was a little bit more matte finishing look when you first applied it.
Yeah.
But other than that, so that's something you can skip if you don't really need it. But then there's different types of primers too. So maybe this one just didn't really make a difference.
And I'll also say that if I'm redoing my makeup to go out at night, I'm not going to put sunscreen on. And I will focus more on doing the primer and a heavier heavier layer of everything. I will put on eyeliner. I will put on primer, mascara, all of that kind of stuff.
But what's great is you got the foundation down, which probably only took 5 minutes. And then now you're coming home and you only have another 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You could add all the other extra stuff and looks like you spent an hour
Yes.
getting ready.
I'm very curious to know if you at home use any of the products that I use and what your opinion is. And if you've used Rare Beauty cream blushes, I love them.
Yeah.
And what your opinion is on BB cream, CC cream,
Primers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that actually what she taught you guys today was actually a tip or a trick that most makeup artists do is we layer. So the cream or liquid blush and then setting it with a powder blush, you'll notice your blush won't move. You'll have blush all day because the blush with powder by itself, I don't know if you've noticed it, but like within an hour it looks like it's faded. So if you don't want to have to touch up or you don't want that fading look, layer it up. Mm-hmm. It's a really easy trick to give more longevity to the color of your cheeks throughout the day.
And along the same lines, if you're looking for more pigment, I mean, you can use a lot of cream blush if you want, or liquid blush. Mm-hmm. But by setting the cream with the powder, like Monina said, you'll get the longevity. But it's better to have both than even just the powder, especially if you're trying to avoid that settling into fine lines, cakiness as well.
Yeah, because the liquid blushes just tend to give more hydration to the skin so it doesn't look as dry. And then you layer it with the powder, it looks fine. Yeah, no settling. So.
Okay, well, hopefully you learned something. Yeah. Hopefully you can teach me something. But thanks again for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm Velia.
I'm Monina. Until next time,
keep experimenting with your beauty routine.